Welcome to the Coach Barnabas podcast. It's time to take a few minutes and leave behind the stuff that drains us and recharge our batteries with some encouragement and insight. Finding the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Hello, welcome to episode 44 of the Coach Barnabas podcast. My name is Corey. Thanks for joining in. And yes, you might be able to tell that it's Christmas time. As I record this, it's just about a matter of 5 days or so before Christmas. As it gets posted, it'll probably be a couple days before. Maybe by the time you take time to watch or listen to this, it's after Christmas. I don't know. But if you're watching on the YouTube, I am adorned with my favorite Christmas sweater, which is feline, decorative. So you'll see that theme because we have 3 cats. We love them dearly. Who knew? I grew up with a dog, and cats were, I don't even know. I had no understanding or appreciation for cats. Now my wife grew up around cats and loved them dearly, and she has since, I don't want to say she converted me because I still love dogs, but wow, she's introduced me to the world of cats, and I'm thankful. And now I proudly wear one on my, I don't want to say ugly Christmas sweater. That's what they're known as, but I think this one's particularly beautiful. So there. But I want to just take a few minutes with you and thank you. This will probably be my last episode for 2024 before the year end, unless something, time opens up and I get an opportunity to do something else. But I expect as I'm recording this that this will be the last episode for the year. And I thank you for joining me, whether it's for this being your first episode or maybe you've followed along from the beginning. But whatever the case may be, I just thank you for taking time. You have a lot of choices. There's a million different podcasts out there, and you've taken a few minutes to spend with me, and I'm grateful. But I want to just focus on the fact that it's Christmas, aside from and because of the whole what Christmas is all about is about celebrating Jesus in coming to earth as a child, leaving heaven, coming to earth as a child, and then becoming part of a physical, earthly family. I think family is a key, and I think there's something special about family. But you use the word family, and there's going to be thoughts and memories from different extremes. You may have grown up in a wonderful family, and you all gathered around the Christmas tree on Christmas morning in your festive Christmas pajamas and your onesies with the little feet and everything. Or maybe it's the other end of the emotional spectrum where it wasn't happy, and maybe you come from a broken home, or Christmas just kind of intensified the dysfunction in your home. And you grew up, seeing everybody happy and exchanging presents and songs and all that stuff, and it just intensified the lack of joy and happiness in your own home, your own family. And so, just the term family and Christmas can really evoke a lot of different memories and emotions on either end of the spectrum and everywhere in between. And so, I really want to kind of focus in on maybe you've experienced all kinds across the spectrum as I have. I grew up, with wonderful memories of Christmas with my brother and my stepbrothers who would come over, and we'd open presents. We had our traditions. We had a lot of fun. But then as you get older and you venture out on your own, and I was 51 years old when I got married and basically had a family of my own. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Corey, 51. I mean, you look like you're not a year over 30. And I get that. I understand. But no, I was 51 years old. We've been married 8 years. So do the math. 59. I'm 59. But, from, the time I moved out of my parents' house to that 51st, year when I finally married and officially was part of a family. There were a lot of Christmases that were alone. My parents spent a number of years living in another country, which, maybe we'll dive into that. I'll tell you some stories about that in a future episode. But they spent a number of years in another country, And so when they were gone, I was completely alone. And at times it felt very, very alone. And even when whether they were here or they were gone or they passed away, there were Christmases I had, which even if I was surrounded by friends who were every bit as family as you can be, except for shared DNA, even when I had that, at the end of the day or whatever, I'd go home to an empty apartment that only I lived in because I lived alone. And so family was something that proved to be elusive to me in a literal sense throughout my adult life. And it was hard because people around me are, especially in my 20s, people are, coupling up and running off, getting married and living the dream, right? The way it's supposed to be. And then they're having kids and, living the dream, living my dream. And it never really worked out for me. And as I got older and older, then it seemed like less and less likely. No matter how hard I tried, no matter how much I wanted it, it just proved to be elusive. And I look back, and again, I'm a very introspective and retrospective type of guy. So I don't know all the answers, but I look at things pragmatically and say, okay, God didn't bless me with the family I'd always wanted until I was 51 years old. And by then, my stepsons, who are wonderful, and I'm so thankful for them, so proud of them, now, they're older, they're adults. And when I married into the family, they were still, beyond the age of, that you think of. They weren't little kids. One was a teenager, one was, 9, 10 years old or so. So I got, I still cherish all those memories, but I also missed out on a number of memories. So I wasn't around from the beginning. They're not my kids. But we've had it now. This will be our 11th Christmas together in some way, shape, or form. This will be our 8th Christmas together where I've been officially part of the family. I'm thankful for that. I also have new parents. Both of my wife's parents are still alive and with us, and I'm thankful because God gave me another set of parents because both of mine are gone. So, God has blessed me in ways I didn't expect, anticipate, even hope for, to be honest with you. It's like, okay, this is the way it's going to be. I had given up to a certain extent the idea, I'd let go of the fact that it's possible that I may go the rest of my life just me by myself and not have a family, never get married, not have kids, stepkids, or anything else. But God eventually did bless me with a family. I'm thankful for that. But along the way, I could still connect with those of you who, the dream shattered one way or the other. Either it just never came to pass, or it started out okay and fell apart. The wheels came off. Okay. And I understand it. And I get how disappointing and shattering that can be. And then this time of year, again, with all the memories and the hopes and the dreams that maybe came crashing down or just never came to pass, that you could feel alone in a crowd. And that oftentimes is the most lonely feeling of all. And so, it's hard when you see people shopping and having a good time, singing songs, Christmas caroling and the lights and all this stuff. And then you feel like that's them and not me. And I just want to encourage you that God knows. He hears your heart. He knows what hurts. He knows what makes you feel wonderful inside. And because it hasn't happened the way you wanted it to happen, the way you hoped it would happen, that doesn't mean he's given up on you. Don't give up on him. But sometimes we have to embrace our reality to a certain extent. And sometimes we have to be a little more proactive. So what I mean by that is, if you're watching this, and if you've been watching it for any given time, you know that my faith, my activity in church and involvement there is fundamental in my life. It's everything that I'm about. And I've been in a number of churches, and, investing yourself in relationships with people in your church, investing in the family of God, making yourself available to them is a very important step. Okay. And maybe you think that there's things from your life, whether presently or in the past, that if they only knew, they wouldn't like me. They wouldn't let me into their home. They would shame me. They would whatever. You know what? None of us are perfect. We all have spotty periods in our lives that we'd like to forget. We've all made mistakes, or we're closely associated with somebody who went through very ugly times. But the whole point is that we need to be in the moment, and we need to not look back at ourselves, at our failures, or where we disappointed, where we made mistakes, and say, okay, I am where I am, and I'm not going to live in the past. I'm not going to let memories from past Christmases that have scarred me, and maybe I went through a period of depression, and this period of the year, this season, or these months, I fall into it again as I remember those difficulties. That God wants us to live in the moment, and it's okay to have those memories to an extent, but really to the point that you're saying, that's where I've come from, and this is where I am now. This is how God has sustained me and delivered me, and He has bigger plans for me. The fact that you're still drawing breath in your lungs, your heart is still beating, means God has a plan for you. And it may be different than you thought, but He knows what's best. He knows the end from the beginning. I don't know that my not having a family of my own when I was younger, maybe I would have endured something if I'd forced it, because it wasn't God's plan for me. If I'd forced it, just done it, and made a mistake way back when, in trying to force something that God didn't have planned for me, didn't ordain for me, I might have gone through heartache and troubles that I'd have to live with the rest of my life, or that would have devastated me or crushed me in some sort of way. I don't know. But I kind of try to look at it that way. It's like, sometimes we just don't know what God has protected us from, as He's working in and through our lives and preparing us for what He has in store for us. And I know that in my life that was the case. And He prepared me for when I was truly ready to be part of the family I'm in. And I'm thankful for that. And I am so grateful that even a couple of days ago, I texted my wife and just kind of as briefly as I could. She was at work, I was at work, just to express how lost I would be if it weren't for her, and for being part of this family and everything that it means to me to be part of this family and to be part of her life, that she chose me and accepted me into hers and into the lives of her children. And she offered me affirmation and reassurance that we're here, we're together, I'm here for you, and that she's thankful for me. And it's like, what, that's the greatest Christmas present. She doesn't have to buy me anything, wrap it up, do anything. That to me means more than anything. So if you are somewhere, wherever you are in that spectrum, I just encourage you to really get connected in church. Allow yourself to be vulnerable in just connecting to people, allowing people into your heart and life, and allow people to love you back and to accept you and to receive you. And you know what? I have family. And I use the term family. They're not literal family. We don't share DNA, but I have friends back home when I say back home, California, who to this day, even though we're separated by thousands of miles, so we haven't seen each other in a number of years, they're every bit the family they were when we were in the same town, and we could see each other, at any given time. Come on over. Okay, boom, we're there and hanging out. Now it's not like that anymore, but they're still every bit as a family as we were then. And I got a text message late last night that they're going through a very, very difficult challenge right now, and asked my wife, that we would pray for them. And of course we did, and we've reached out to my church, and they're praying for them, even though they don't even know who they are. They may never know, probably will never know who they are. Praying for them. Even as we speak, my wife, who teaches in a Christian school, had them praying for my friends back home. And it's like, what? Mileage doesn't separate us. DNA doesn't separate us. They're family to me, and they're precious to me. I couldn't love them more. I wouldn't love them more if we shared DNA. That has nothing to do with it. So I encourage you to just allow yourself to be available to relationships like that, because I'm grateful. I have family of all kind. I've got the bloodline family. I've got this beautiful family I married into. I've got family that I've made along the way by choice, by relationship, and just growing in friendship and sharing experiences together, the highs and the lows and everything in between, the tears and the laughter, sometimes the laughter through the tears. They've been there for me, and I just encourage you to just make yourself available and cultivate those kind of relationships while you still can. Now's the time. Be in the moment. Don't allow yourself to dwell in the past so much that it depresses you or makes you feel like you're unworthy, to discourage you, to make you want to give up, to accept anything less than God's absolute best, his plans for you. Jeremiah 29:11-13, verses I have stood on more than most. The Bible's filled with tens of thousands of verses, but those 3 verses are ones I've stood on so many times in my life, knowing that God loves me, he has plans for me, for a hope and a future, not to harm me, but for my good. And I've stood upon those verses so many times. Jeremiah 29:11-13. If you don't know them, look them up. But I've stood upon them, and he has been faithful to me with unveiling those plans when they're in season, when it's the right time for me, and preparing me for that time. He's been faithful, and I'm thankful because I'm living it out. And I still don't know. There's things in my future that I don't know about, but because I'm still drawing air in my lungs, my heart is still beating, I know that he still has plans for me. There's still an assignment out there for me, and I want to live it. I want to be able to do what he has called me to do. And I don't know all the details, but I just want to be faithful to it and to please him. So I just want to encourage you to just pour yourself into it, make yourself available to God, make yourself available to the family of God. Go to church this Christmas and make a family, okay, of the family of God. Let yourself be part of the family, and then turn it around and welcome people into your life. Let them be your family. And then people who need a family, let them in and encourage them, love on them, bless them, accept them, and encourage them to just, let go of the things from the past that hurt them and have held them back, because that doesn't define who we are. Jesus defines who we are. Only he can define who we are, and we just have to let him. So I just want to leave you with that. Thank you again for joining me. Thank you for being part of this journey with me. I hope you'll stick with me. And I just want to remind you, be encouraged, be an encourager. Merry Christmas. I look forward to talking to you again very soon. Take care.
Thank you for joining the Coach Barnabas podcast. We'd greatly appreciate your support by liking and subscribing to the podcast and setting up notifications so we can let you know when new episodes are available. We'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment. Make a difference today.